spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football, the only NFL show that gives you all the analysis you need in just 30 minutes or less, except that is not true today, Rich. We are doing something we've never done before. We said on last Thursday's show we got so many questions that we couldn't get to them. We felt bad. So you know what? We decided to do the first ever 30 Minutes of Football doubleheader. My man, Pro Football Demon, joining me on Thursday night. Are you ready for this twice as long episode?
I'm ready for this. We're calling it the Big Show, right? Like the
Big
WWE
show,
wrestler?
the doubleheader, however you want to call it. We're going to have two 30-minute timers. So we're going to have two halves and then a halftime after the 30 minutes. We'll see how this goes. If you guys like this, if we have enough questions to sustain us for the hour, then we'll keep doing this every Thursday. We're going to preview a little bit of Week 6. I figured we'd do some of that. We've got some Thursday Night Football player props brought to you by our sponsor, Prize Picks. So we've got some fun stuff. I already see people active in the chat, so this should be a fun show. Rich, are you ready to get this thing started?
Let's dive right in.
1 hour of legit 30 minutes of football. I don't even know how to say it. Starts now. Let's go ahead and get that timer cranking. Look at that beautiful 60-minute timer there.
Wow. That's not intimidating at all.
No, not at all. How are we going to fill the time? We're so used to 30 minutes. So I want to kick off. We are presented by Prize Picks today. Go ahead and make sure that we've got their banner going at the bottom. So what is Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. All you have to do is pick players to get either more or less than their projection. It's that simple. You can 10x your entry by just getting all four of your picks correct. Super simple. Pick 4 player props. If you get all 4 right, you 10x however much entry you put in. Legit Football is participating in the Prize Picks Challenge. This week, our goal is to accurately project at least 6 of 10 or more of the player projections. We're actually going to be sharing the player projections, so you'll see what our projections are. You can just tail us. We got 7 out of 10 right on Monday. We're hoping to get at least 6. If you get 4, remember, if you get all 4 correct, you can 10x your entry. If you've never been on Prize Picks before, if you use code LEGIT, you can see it at the bottom of the screen, code LEGIT. They'll match your deposit up to $100. So if you put $100 in, you'll get $200 to spend. Tail our picks. Pro Football Demon, are you ready to take a look at some of these Thursday Night Football player props to start off our big show doubleheader?
Let's go.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it up on the screen here. So all we're going to be doing, thank you, Anthony, is we're going to go through the 10 player props that we're predicting. You can take our advice and do these on Prize Picks or wherever you do your player props, or you can just, go against us if you think that we're going to be wrong. And so as we do each one, Rich, just let me know. You agree, disagree. This is specifically for the Thursday night game. So we're talking Bears, we're talking Commanders. The game itself isn't very exciting on its face. So we're like, hey, let's throw in some player props. Justin Fields, more than 165 passing yards. Yes, he hasn't had a lot of games at that, but he did go over 200 last week. I think this offense started to find its rhythm a little bit against Minnesota. So we are predicting more than 165 and a half passing yards. Rich,
I like that. Yeah.
Great. Number 2, Curtis Samuel, more than 3.5 rush yards. Basically, if he gets a single end around and doesn't get stopped at the line of scrimmage by this Bears defense, then that hits. Do you like that?
I'm good with that.
Awesome. Darnell Mooney, more than 43 and a half receiving yards. He definitely was under that earlier in the week, but last week had 90-plus receiving yards, had a great catch. Hopefully we're seeing more of that. You're shaking your head. You disagree with me here.
I disagree. I don't trust Darnell. I love the player. I just don't trust the offense to get him the ball that much.
Fair enough. On the same note, Cole Kmet, more than 27.5 receiving yards. So 28 receiving yards, and he hits this. We're predicting more. Are you of the same mind as the Darnell Mooney prop?
I think so, yeah. It's hard for me to bank on any of these guys going over 20 receiving yards.
All right, how about let's go over to the Washington side. Terry McLaurin, more than 4 receptions. Jahan Dotson is out for this game. So is Logan Thomas.
Yeah, I could buy that.
Okay, how about just on the reception side? Darnell Mooney more than 3.5 receptions, so 4 catches or more.
I'm saying two catches.
2 catches. You are down on the Chicago pass catchers. All right. Justin Fields more than 211.5 pass and rush yards combined. So rushing plus passing yards, 211.5 against this Commanders defense.
I would go under that.
Really? Okay. You were just, I'm guessing you're picking
I'm
Washington
down on the
to win
Bears
tonight.
offense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am we'll preview the game. I'm already telling you now I'm picking Chicago to win this game. I like how they played against the team Minnesota that you're high on last week. Roquan Smith more than 9 tackles.
Yeah, I can buy that.
Okay. J.D. McKissick more than 3 receptions. Brian Robinson, by the way, starting running back for this game.
Yeah, I like more than 3 receptions.
They target McKissick a lot. And then finally, Terry McLaurin more than 54.5 receiving yards for Washington.
I could see him getting about 70 receiving yards.
Okay, great. So listen to me, listen to Pro Football Demon, whatever you want to do, guys, go to Prize Picks. It's so easy. You just pick more or less. Use code LEGIT if you're a new user, and you'll get them to match up to 100 of whatever you put in. All right, we will revisit them later in the show. We do have a lot of time. But it looks like we have a lot of questions. Let's go ahead and start tackling some of these user questions. That's what you guys are really here for. Let's see. We've got some start here. Phoebe Stone. Should I put B-Rob, Chris Olave, Taysom Hill, Devin Singletary at flex? So B-Rob, I'm guessing, is Brian Robinson. As we mentioned, he is getting the start for Washington tonight. Chris Olave is... to be determined if he's going to play. He is still questionable to play with that concussion from last week. Taysom Hill, fresh off 4 touchdowns, but is that repeatable? Or Devin Singletary at flex in that big game, Bills versus Chiefs. He has Saquon and, or Phoebe, she has Saquon and Stevenson as RB1 and RB2.
Phoebe, I would ordinarily go Chris Olave here, and I wouldn't even question it. But if he is not going to play... you'd have to put Robinson in tonight, so I would probably wait to see if Olave's going to play, and then, or they have the late game on Sunday.
The Saints. Yeah, probably they play Seattle in Seattle. Oh wait, no, that was last week. No. Saints play the Bengals. So I think that's one of the earlier games. That's at New Orleans. So that's
I would wait to see what Olave's situation is, and if he can't play, I would go Singletary.
Yeah, the thing is, I think that Bills Chiefs game is going to be high scoring, and I don't think it's going to be in the run game. So I don't like I actually love the pass catchers, all of them, McKenzie, Diggs, and Gabe Davis. Singletary, I'm not high on. Taysom Hill, I think we can say you cannot throw the dart. You missed it. If you got the dart last week, you would have got it. Chris Olave would absolutely be the play, but it's a risk. I kind of like Brian Robinson against this Bears defense. I know that kind of puts you in a bind if he doesn't produce. But they've been really high on him. It's amazing to see the comeback he's had after being shot twice.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So with Olave not practicing this week, I'm kind of leaning, going Brian Robinson, kind of rolling the dice there.
Yeah, that's who I would go with. But I'm more of a risk taker, so I would wait on Olave because
Olave has the higher ceiling. Yeah. I would say that because we've seen what he can do when he's healthy in that lineup. All right, so let's go over to Flurum Maraseni. Should I start Terry and Wentz, so Terry McLaurin and Carson Wentz tonight again, or Kirk and Devontae Smith? I don't know if that's a quarterback question. Is that Christian Kirk? Is that Kirk Cousins?
That's Kirk. That's got to be Kirk Cousins if he's doing Wentz and Terry, I'm assuming.
Okay, so let's say that's Kirk Cousins going up against my Miami Dolphins and Devontae Smith going up against that Eagles or the Cowboys secondary.
I would go Kirk Cousins and Devontae Smith. I don't want to buy into this Washington offense, and you'd be double dipping in the Washington offense. That's very risky. Kirk Cousins as Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback if he's not playing under the lights. So, and I like what Devontae Smith is doing. That's a divisional game. We don't know how it's going to go. It could be high scoring. But yeah, I feel more comfortable on that end.
And the Dolphins, who the Vikings are playing, have been pretty generous to the pass game. They've been better against the run. So I think it's not a primetime game. Kirk plays better when the lights are not on. And Devontae Smith, I think they're going to need to score points. I think this game is going to be really exciting between Dallas and Philly. It tends to be high scoring, regardless of how the defenses have been playing, and both those defenses have been good. And Devontae Smith led the team in targets last week. They were heavily targeting him, especially in the short passing game. So if it's a PPR league for him, I agree with Pro Football Demon. I would go with Kirk and Devontae Smith.
And the Dolphins couldn't seem to tackle Breece Hall in the passing game. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I?
We'll get to that.
Okay,
Let's answer Jade's question.
Okay.
And then we will let you talk and get your Jets bragging in. You've earned it. Jade Dragon 91. Do you think Taysom Hill is just a hit or miss wonder, or should you trust to start him weekly?
We've seen Taysom Hill do this sort of thing before, where he has rushed for a touchdown, thrown for a touchdown, Bugs Bunny first base, Bugs Bunny second base. I don't trust him. I would need to see this happen 3 weeks in a row for me to actually consider trusting him.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's such a dart throw. It's absolutely a dart throw, and that's the problem is you can't bank on a dart throw weekly. It would have to be if your other tight ends are injured or you just, for whatever reason, you think the matchup's good. Even that's hard to predict. It's a little bit fluky. It's purely when you have somebody who's so touchdown dependent for his production, it's so hard to predict because that is something that varies greatly week to week. He just doesn't get enough usage. He doesn't get enough volume to justify a weekly play unless you really have no other better options. So, I'm going to pass on that. All right, I'll bring this question back up in a second. Let's talk about Dolphins Jets. I know you're itching to do that.
There's not much to say. Okay, look, I'll be honest here. For me, this was more about this was the game I think that is a turning point for the Jets. I saw football that was competitive and competent. My only question with the Jets is, did we get the coach right? I think everything else is right. Zach Wilson, I think he's a little reckless. My concerns are, the stat sheet doesn't tell the whole story. This guy misses touchdowns by a yard because guys get tackled at the 1 yard line. He would have had a 2 touchdown day if Breece Hall wouldn't have gotten tackled at the 1 yard line. So I feel confident in this team. I think this was a turning point where we're seeing the Jets arrow finally go up in the right direction, and I feel comfortable with it. It's just Robert Saleh. I don't know if I trust him yet. That's it. I'm not going to rag on the Dolphins as a third string quarterback. We did win by a lot of points, but we probably should have. We're a talented team. So if you go in and you're having trouble against a third string quarterback against a banged up team, then that's a problem for you. So we did exactly what we should have done.
And on the Dolphins side, while I like Skylar Thompson and he showed a lot of promise in the preseason, he was very indecisive. He held the ball too long, and that offense relies on the threat of the deep ball and be able to make good decisions quickly and get the ball to your playmakers. Tua was one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL as far as from snap to release. He got the ball out quickly to his playmakers, and when you have guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, that's a good thing to do, and I think that's Skylar Thompson's issue. That being said, this Jets team looked great on both sides of the ball. Breece Hall is an absolute star. First Jets wide receiver since 2011 to score 100 receiving yards. That is not something that comes along every so often. I think Joe Douglas, the talent that he's amassed is finally starting to show. Sauce Gardner is absolute hit. So very, very good reason. You saw that at the power rankings, the Jets were the second highest in the AFC East. I actually had them even higher, but Jimmy was the one from NFL Stats to actually put them in the draft. I also picked the Jets to cover this week against the Packers. I do have the Packers winning that game at Lambeau, but I think it's going to be closer than the point spread. So this is your time. Bask in it. I wanted to give you some time. I texted you. Congrats on the win.
You did.
Yeah.
Classy move. Classy move, by the way.
We keep it classy here at Legit Football. All right, so let's get to a few more questions, and then I want to start taking an early look at kind of the week ahead. Phoebe actually put in the comment, thank you so much. She has McKenzie as well, but didn't realize he was able to play. Hasn't been officially active, but he is trending. He's been practicing. It looks like McKenzie's going to go, and the fact that Jamison Crowder is out, I think McKenzie is going to be the go-to for the slot, and I just think this Chiefs-Bills game, just like we saw in the playoffs, is going to be a shootout, so I love all the Bills pass catchers in this. You consider McKenzie as well. All right, let's get back to the questions. Kenny Mauder said, how's it going? It's going great. We're what 13 minutes into this, 23 minutes into this. So bench one, Gordon Montgomery or Eno Benjamin. So this is not start one. This is bench one. So this is Melvin Gordon, David Montgomery going tonight, or Eno Benjamin looking to get his start with James Conner out.
I'm probably benching Melvin Gordon because the Bears love David Montgomery. Benjamin, everybody else seems to be hurt in that offense, and Benjamin's a fantastic pass catcher. Just this, I don't know what to make of this Broncos offense. Terrible in the red zone. I don't want any part of that Broncos offense right now. So yeah, I would bench him.
Completely agree. We saw right away when Mike Boone came in that he split the carries right down the middle, and actually was more efficient than Gordon was. And Gordon still had a fumble last week. Plus, this Broncos offense is like short of maybe Cortland Sutton. There's nobody you can really count on. Whereas this Bears team wants to run the ball. David Montgomery was the clear lead back. Even as good as Khalil Herbert was, Montgomery came back. They immediately put him back in, and Herbert didn't get much usage, which I disagree with, but hey, that's what the Bears are going to do. I definitely want to play Eno Benjamin. He's more electric than James Conner. He works better in this offense in Arizona. I think his ceiling's pretty high. So yeah, we're aligned there. Sean Clips asks, with regards to Prize Picks, I've never been there. What states are allowed? They are available in more than 30 states. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't list all 30 states, but just look it up. If you go to the Prize Picks, just Google their website. They should have a list of the states that are authorized, or just try it. And if it lets you go through, you're good. And if not, then but thanks for following up with that question. J Dragon 91, another question. Do we trust to see DJ Moore produce more, double more there for the doubleheader, with PJ Walker now temporarily a quarterback? Baker Mayfield, high ankle sprain, is going to be out at least a few weeks. Sam Darnold's still not ready to return. Carolina, new regime on the coaching side. Steve Wilkes, the new interim head coach. Do you think that moves the needle at all for DJ Moore?
I think it could. I don't know that I would trust it, but I think it could. We've seen quarterbacks come in from out of nowhere, and PJ Walker, he can move. He can make plays with his legs. So, you can buy some time back there, maybe hit DJ Moore. I feel more comfortable with him back there than I do with Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold, just because I think he's more electric. He might provide this offense with a spark it hasn't had. And if he gets on a roll, who knows what can happen. So, but do I trust it? No. I am more hopeful than I would have been with those other guys at quarterback, though.
Yeah, it can't get much worse, especially for where you probably drafted him, Jade. If you did draft DJ Moore, his production has just been, the whole offense short of Christian McCaffrey, the production has been just underwhelming is a nice way of putting it. So it's possible. PJ Walker, more mobile. He has more ups and downs. He's a little bit, decision making has not been his forte. There's a reason he was playing in the AAF, recently, and hasn't really had a chance to be a starter in the NFL. But he's a little bit more electric of a player, so we could see more plays. This is not the week. I would say going up to the Rams, I think that the Rams are in a great spot to bounce back after that loss to Dallas. But going forward, it can't get much worse. So yes, we could see a little bit of a boost there with DJ Moore. I wanted to bring up Takaido Luna. You always got to. Takaido's always hiding in the chat.
On.
This is the high point for the Jets.
Nice, Brian, and you got to bring this up. All right. Well.
Hey, this is this is Takaido Luna. Always love to see your thoughts in the chat, saying this is the high point for the Jets. It's all downhill from here. LMAO. Had to highlight that one. All right, let's keep it going. David Cox asked, Deontay Johnson or Miles Sanders in the flex for PPR?
I am probably going Miles Sanders because Kenny Pickett seems to target George Pickens a lot more than he does Deontay Johnson. So yeah, I'm going to go Miles Sanders here.
Yeah, I agree. Deontay Johnson already is really good in PPR with Trubisky because he just heavily targeted him. But we're seeing the targets absolutely go more to Pickens and the high value targets going to Pickens. Also, they play the Bucs this week, so the defense is going to limit them. A Steelers offense that hasn't been able to be counted on in general. Miles Sanders, meanwhile, is the clear lead back in Philly in a game that they're going to, is going to be very competitive against Dallas. So yeah, I'm in agreement. We'll play Miles Sanders there. Looks like David asked that question multiple times, so let me get through here. Cole Hernandez, trade Michael Pittman for Mike Williams and David Njoku. I have Kyle Pitts.
I want to do that. I know this. I know this. It's so tough. You have Kyle. Oh, you see, I'm a Kyle Pitts believer. That's the thing. I think at any point Kyle Pitts can just take off, and then you're not
But
going to be
here's the
able to
thing:
stop
he's
him.
not saying he's trading Pitts. Also,
No, I
he's
know, but,
yeah.
but I'm saying because you have Kyle Pitts, this takes Njoku out of the equation for me because I'm not starting Njoku over Kyle Pitts. So then for me, it's trade Pittman for Mike Williams. You would know when Keenan Allen's coming back better than I would, but I don't think he's going to be out for that much longer, is he?
He actually practiced today for the
Yeah.
first time in a long time.
So to me, because when Keenan Allen's in, Mike Williams is up or down, and I know Indy's had issues, but I mean it's Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman. I have to believe that's going to work at some point. So I don't think I would do this.
I'm going to disagree with you here, and there's a few reasons why. It has nothing to do with Pittman's talent. I like Pittman as a wide receiver overall better than Mike Williams. It's because that Colts offense has been bad,
Yeah.
and we have seen 2 weeks in a row now Matt Ryan actually preferring Alec Pierce as the number one target. Yet to be determined if that keeps up, but that automatically drops Pittman's value already on an offense that's just not producing. Mike Williams at least plays in a higher powered offense with the Chargers. Njoku, I want a second tight end. I have made trades in both of the leagues where I have Kyle Pitts, where my fantasy team is not doing well, because I wanted a different tight end. Last week, I got rid of Justin Jefferson. I got a big haul in return, including Tyler Higbee. I put Higbee in, and he got me 12 points, and Pitts was out last week. Yes, Pitts has the ability to go high, and I like that you would keep him on your team here, Cole, but I would take that trade. I would plug Njoku in. He's got a higher floor right now, and if you need those points, Williams and Pittman are kind of even with the way their offense. Williams may be a slight bump, so I'm going to disagree. I would take this trade. All right, I'm going to take this opportunity, guys. If you don't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing this every Thursday. It's clear that you guys have a lot of questions, so we'll do the hour-long questions, but I do this 5 days a week. We've got game picks against the spread on Friday. We share Rich's picks on that show as well. We've got a recap on Monday for all the Sunday action and a Monday Night Football preview, fantasy and NFL news on Tuesday, and a power rankings live draft with NFL stats from Twitter on Wednesday. So while you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe. Make sure to join us for all of our shows. All right, let's go on to the next question. Robert Walls asks, Jerry Jeudy or DJ Moore? A lot of DJ Moore questions in the
Oh
chat.
wow. I think you have to go Judy. I don't trust either of them, but I would probably go Jerry Jeudy. Yeah.
Not a good situation to be in right now, but yes, I agree. Jeudy, at least we know he's getting targets. We know what we're getting in Russell Wilson, even if it's underwhelming. We don't know what we're getting in PJ Walker. He could be dreadful. That Panthers team, any team that's in flux like that, I don't trust it. I think they're going to rely on the run game a lot, whereas Jeudy, it's once again, I don't like either choice, but between the two, I think I would go with Jerry Jeudy. All right, we have a start-sit question. Carter Holt asks, start 3, sit 1. Miles Sanders, Kenneth Walker, now with the RB1 position in Seattle, Jeff Wilson, Aaron Jones. So we're picking 3 of these to start and 1 of them to sit.
I am probably sitting Miles Sanders in this scenario. I think Jeff Wilson's going to get a ton of work. I think Kenneth Walker's going to get a ton of work. And Aaron Jones, I think against the Jets, he's going to get targeted a lot in the passing game. So, yeah, I think I would sit Miles Sanders there.
Yep, I definitely agree. I think the ceilings are higher for all 3, Walker, Wilson, and Jones. Wilson's on a roll. He's had 100 yards in each of the last 2 games. Kyle Shanahan wants to run the ball. Aaron Jones, you're never going to bench him for any of these guys. So those are locks. Then you're talking about Kenneth Walker, who we haven't seen his potential. Actually, we saw his potential in a 69-yard touchdown run last week. Miles Sanders, he's steady. He's reliable. He can have those good games. But I just think that I'm tantalized by what Walker can bring to that Seattle offense. So I think chase the ceiling there, sit Sanders, and start the other 3. All right, David Cox again. Gabe Davis, Deontay, Miles Sanders, pick 2 in PPR.
Oh, pick 2. Well, remember what Gabe Davis did last time they played Kansas City. So I am plugging in Gabe Davis for that reason. And he had a big game last week. I think that's going to be a high-octane game. I like Miles Sanders over Deontay Johnson. So that's why I'm going Gabe Davis, Miles Sanders. I don't trust Deontay to get targets. Significant targets.
Yeah, same thing. The Steelers offense in general, I'm not trusting any of them. George Pickens, maybe. I am starting him in some lineups because I just think that it's so incredibly talented, and Pickett's going to target him, and he gets the air yards, and he's going to get a touchdown. He's going to produce. Gabe Davis, you heard how I feel about the Bills pass catchers. And Miles Sanders, kind of middle of the road, but versus Deontay, yeah, I would pick him. He's going to be involved in that highly competitive matchup against the Cowboys. All right, let's go on. Love the questions, guys. Keep these coming. And I apologize, we may not get to all of them. Here we do an hour show, and we've just got a queue of questions, which is always nice to see. Alex Murray, Curtis Samuel, or Eno Benjamin?
Ooh, this one's tough for me. I might go Eno Benjamin here.
Yeah.
Because I just think he's going to go a lot of work, and he's good in the passing game. Better offense too.
Yep, and they're playing a really bad defense. So the Cardinals are playing the Seahawks, and the Seahawks, as exciting as Geno Smith has been, and I'm eating crow over him, I'm finally saying, you know what?
Yeah, me too.
I guess this is, you're a Jets fan. Like, this is the new Geno. The way he works in the Shane Waldron Seahawks offense just seems to work. That dime he threw to Tyler Lockett was just, I can't believe Geno threw that ball. I'm going to say it. So Geno is here to stay, at least as things are now. But that Seahawks defense is dreadful. So Eno Benjamin, I could see him be involved in both as a runner and as a pass catcher out of the backfield. I think the Cardinals are going to put up points. I like Eno Benjamin. Curtis Samuel, that Washington offense is just so hard to predict. All right, let's go on to Ronald Andrelot. Saquon, here's a trade question. Saquon and Hill, I'm guessing that's Tyreek Hill, for Stephon Diggs, Josh Jacobs, and Jonathan Taylor. This is juicy.
Wow. I would do this. I know Saquon is producing at a high rate right now, but with Saquon, there's always that injury bug lingering around that kind of scares me. But you're getting three. I mean, you're basically Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. I'm taking Diggs over Hill. So now you're getting someone of Jonathan Taylor's capability who could explode at any moment, and Josh Jacobs has been playing out of his mind.
It's been great.
Yeah. So I like this deal. I would definitely do that.
I would too. The fact that you're getting three players back. Josh Jacobs is playing the best football of his life. He just fits in well with this Josh McDaniels offense. Remember, the Raiders did not pick up his fifth-year option. So he is playing to get paid, and he is showing it. He's now shown it in multiple weeks, so I don't think it's a fluke. The Raiders want to be a run-first offense to kind of control that clock. McDaniels coming from that Belichick tree. They want to control time of possession. Stephon Diggs is an upgrade, I think, over Tyreek Hill, especially with the quarterback situation right now in Miami. So then at that point, Jonathan Taylor's a bonus, and you're picking this is the first overall pick, all right? We've seen what his ceiling is. It's 20 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to get bottled up forever. I love this. If you have this as an offer, Ronald, in your inbox, smash that accept button.
You're basically getting Jonathan Taylor as a throw-in.
Yes, Jonathan Taylor is sweeten the pot. Let me give you the number one fantasy player from last year. But yes, I would absolutely do this trade, Ronald. I hope that is an actual offer that you have. About 4 minutes left till halftime. We were worried about, filling the time. That has not been an issue.
No,
Garrett Reese, trade Lockett and Gabe Davis for Hollywood Brown and Miles Sanders.
Ooh, man, I don't know if I would do that. And I know Gabe Davis is he can be a guy who's hit or miss sometimes, but he's a Stephon Diggs injury away from being the guy, Josh Allen's main guy. And Lockett's been playing well. I don't think I would do this.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Lockett has shown to be the Seahawks offense is, as I said, that they're cooking. Forget Russ cooking. Geno is cooking.
Geno knows how to cook.
He is the better chef. Like, he is the one who's getting the Michelin star here. Gabe Davis, yes, doesn't have a lot of volume, but we just saw what his ceiling can be in this Bills offense. All of these regular pass catchers, they're going to have opportunities to put up points. Gabe Davis is a great red zone threat. He gets those opportunities in the end zone, even if he doesn't get a lot of actual targets. Hollywood Brown has been great, but DeAndre Hopkins is coming back soon. That's going to limit him, and we already kind of said Miles Sanders, middle of the road, so I would absolutely, Garrett, not take this trade. Keep Tyler Lockett, keep Gabe Davis. You will be happy. I want to go ahead and highlight a question that I saw. A question that maybe we never thought we would ask. Jade Dragon 91.
No.
I don't know. And credit to Kaido. He said, is that a real question, Jade? Start Geno Smith or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar, yeah, Lamar Jackson.
Catch your breath first.
Yeah, look, we see this a lot. We see guys pop, they have some nice games, but you're starting Lamar Jackson every week. Unless you have Josh Allen, you're starting Lamar Jackson every week.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Geno story, and you know what? He's like QB 6 or 7 right now, but Lamar is still higher. The floor is always going to be higher with the rushing. He's shown that he can be an absolutely top tier passer as well. And I just feel like, as much as Geno's a great story, it's just not sustainable. Even if he's more efficient, he's more like a middle of the road quarterback. He's going to come down at some point. Appreciate the humor in the question, and I do get why you're asking, and it's not a completely out of left field as it would have been before the season started. But yeah, Lamar Jackson. I want to address
has been a great passer this year. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, DS asks, where are these other questions coming from? We don't actually say this enough, but we are broadcasting on both of our YouTube channels. So if some of you guys are in the chat and you're like, wait a second, where did this chat come from? We are live on both the 30 Minutes of Football channel, so make sure to subscribe there, and also subscribe to the Pro Football Demon YouTube channel. We do this because we have each of our channels. StreamYard allows us to broadcast on both at the same time. That is why we do this. We don't mind which one you're on, but just go ahead and subscribe to both. The chats, wherever you're chatting, it will come through to us. All right, let's answer one more question before we go to halftime.
And then we're going to answer more questions after halftime. So
and then we got more questions. That's the thing. This is not the end of the show. Joshua Peacock, please help in all caps. Jacoby Myers or Curtis Samuel?
Oh, ordinarily I would probably say Curtis Samuel, but I just love that Bailey Zappi to Jacoby Myers connection. I think he's going to pepper him with targets, so I would probably lean Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I'm not just leaning Jacoby Myers. I'm completely agreeing. Curtis Samuel was a nice story at the beginning of the season, but this Washington offense has only gotten worse each week. It is not reliable. As Terry McLaurin is the clear number one, whereas Jacoby Myers is the clear number one. I like this matchup against the Browns. The Browns defense has actually not been very good this year, despite the fact that they have Myles Garrett. Whether it's Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, they're going to be targeting him, especially in PPR. So we're both in agreement, Joshua. Go ahead and play Jacoby Myers over Curtis Samuel. All right, well, we made it through 30 minutes. That chime means it's halftime. I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity again to talk about Prize Picks. Today's show is presented by Prize Picks. They're also sponsoring our Legit Football newsletter. By the way, if you haven't already, guys, if this is your first time watching the 30 Minutes of Football edition with Pro Football Demons, we have a daily NFL newsletter that's free. Just go to legitfootball.com. If you're watching, you see it at the top of the overlay here. Enter your email address. We'll send you all the top news from the NFL in bite-sized nuggets so you can read it in 5 minutes or less, including injury updates for your fantasy teams. It's 100% free. We do it 5 days a week. It'll be in your inbox every morning. Prize Picks, the easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. All you have to do is pick players to get either more or less than their projection. We shared our personal projections earlier. You can 10x your entry just by getting 4 right. Just pick 4 things right. It can be for Thursday Night Football tonight, or it could be for any of the games this weekend. Legit Football, we're participating in what we're calling the Prize Pick Challenge. You can find the challenge in the Legit Football newsletter every Monday and Thursday throughout the month of October. Our goal is to accurately predict at least 6 of the 10. On Monday, we got 7 out of 10. To play along, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just put in code LEGIT, L-E-G-I-T, in Prize Picks. Any deposit you put in up to $100, they will match that. It's available in more than 30 states. There was a question earlier about which states. I don't have a list of the exact states, but hey, just try, go through the process and see if it works. They have a 4.8 rating on the App Store with over 38,000 reviews. Prize Picks is legit. There's a reason that we've partnered with them. I'm personally doing my own player props, and Legit Football has our Prize Picks challenge. Make sure to go check it out. Pro Football Demon, why don't you plug your stuff while we got you on here?
Pro Football Demon, YouTube, TikTok. I tweet live during games, so check me out on Twitter. I just want to say 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. Brian McFadden is one of the hardest working guys in this industry. He covers you everywhere you need to be covered in terms of fantasy football. If you want to bet on games, everything, 30 Minutes of Football gives you that. Legit Football, the Legit Football newsletter gives you those bite-sized nuggets, like he said, injury updates. And then if you feel like laughing, if you have a little too much football on the brain, head over to my channel. I'll give you a couple laughs.
There you go. I appreciate that. You're so excited that your Jets beat my Dolphins. You're just throwing extra compliments at
throw
me.
your
I'll
bone.
take them. I will take them. Flattery gets you everywhere with me. All right, we've got 30 more minutes to go for our
Takeda
doubleheader
Luna's
show.
getting asked questions in the chat, by the way. People are starting to ask him questions.
I saw that, and that's dangerous. For your own sake, that is a dangerous road to go down. So let's go ahead and jump into the second half. Anthony, I'm trying to keep up with these questions, so if you can go through the chat and star something that we haven't got to, we're trying to get to as many of you as we can. We got a whole another half hour. We do want to preview at least a little bit of this Bears-Commanders game, but we're fine with that being a minute. So we can take 29 minutes to answer your question. So let's go ahead and get back to it. J.T. Parsons, De'Ami Brown, or Melvin Gordon for flex? That's an interesting one.
I'm gonna chase the points of De'Ami Brown instead of Melvin Gordon. I just think he provides a much better ceiling if things go his way.
I will slightly disagree. De'Ami Brown they're chasing the ceiling there, so I get Rich's logic. Melvin Gordon, the Broncos are playing the Chargers on Monday night, which, yes, I know we got to deal with the Broncos yet again for a primetime game, but the Chargers are actually very susceptible to the run. We saw that last week, although everybody's been susceptible to the Browns. But in general, that's where they're easiest to attack. So I think the Broncos are going to go run first. I don't think Melvin Gordon has necessarily a super high ceiling, so I do like Brown's ceiling more. But I just think he's going to get a lot of touches against that Chargers offense this week specifically. Probably going to lean Melvin Gordon in the flex.
But you're assuming Nathaniel Hackett is going to coach rationally, so
fair enough. You know what? I can't argue with that, and I'm not. This is not something I'm super confident in. I would not blame you if you want to chase those points with De'Ami Brown. My worry is this Commanders Bears game is not going to be super high scoring, which is why maybe I like the Brian Robinson play a little bit more. But it's the Nathaniel Hackett. That's a real concern. That's something we have to consider. All right, let's go on to the next question. Mark Kaiser, trade Aaron Jones for CeeDee Lamb.
I'm not doing that. I'm sticking. I know Aaron Jones hasn't been money in the bank, but I don't know that I trust this Dallas offense. And CeeDee Lamb is a stud, but I trust Aaron Jones with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. Maybe to get those receptions, and he can have a stretch of games where he just goes off. So yeah, I don't think I'm doing that.
I would say this, Mark, and any of you guys, when you ask these questions, give us a little more context. Like, do you also have Saquon and CMC and Breece Hall?
That's true, yeah.
Like, if Aaron Jones is your only running back, no, there's not a chance you should trade him for CeeDee Lamb. If you've got the capital and you're short on receiver, so these questions try to give us a little bit more context. But on its face value, I agree that CeeDee Lamb has been great with Cooper Rush. I mean, is that a chemistry thing? Do we think when Dak comes back that changes? I don't think Cooper Rush has also not been all that. He's been efficient. He hasn't thrown any interceptions, but he's not a high volume quarterback. They're relying on their defense in the run game, which limits CD's ceiling. Aaron Jones, they need to rely on him. He's their best playmaker by far in the Packers offense. So I would keep Jones unless you're just stacked at running back. All right, Joshua Peacock with another question. Pick 3, Ramondre Stevenson, Eno Benjamin, Breece Hall, Nick Chubb.
This is really pick between Ramondre Stevenson and Eno Benjamin, because the way Breece Hall and Nick Chubb are playing, you are not benching them.
Agreed.
I might actually, just because Damian Harris is out, I might go Ramondre Stevenson here, because Belichick loves to pound the ball. He could see 20 plus touches. And I just think I like his probability of getting more touches than Eno Benjamin.
The fact that Damian Harris is out really lends itself well to Ramondre Stevenson here. I think Eno probably, like I said, there's some excitement there, maybe a ceiling play. But with running back, I usually like to chase the floor, whereas wide receiver, I like to chase the ceiling. So, yeah, it's not a huge difference, but I'm going to agree. I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson, and 100% agree. Breece Hall and Nick Chubb shouldn't be in this conversation. Like, don't even include them. Just give us Stevenson versus Eno Benjamin. Mark Kaiser, I saw in the chat, he said he has Kamara and Stevenson. He was the one who asked about trading Aaron Jones for CeeDee Lamb.
I would still hold on to Jones.
Yeah, Stevenson, good floor play, but not super high. Kamara, yes, he had a good week, but he's getting a little bit older. He's not as efficient as he used to be. And running backs, it's so thin. Yeah. Receivers, there's tons of receivers you can hit on. I would keep Aaron Jones. All right, let's go on to Janoon Giradar. Should I start Olave, Devontae Smith, Curtis Samuel, or Pickens? I love the depth. I don't know if these are you in like a 16 team league, or is this like a hypothetical?
Starting, yeah.
But I hope you're in first place.
Yeah. For me, if Olave plays, I'm starting Olave. Then I like Devontae Smith's. For me, it's Olave, Devontae, Pickens, Samuel in that order.
Yeah, let's say Olave is questionable to play. Devontae Smith has actually shown to be very, very productive in that Eagles offense. I'm probably leaning towards him, even if Olave is healthy, because you have either Jameis Winston, who can't be relied upon, or Andy Dalton throwing a quarterback. Whereas Devontae Smith, you have one of the top fantasy quarterbats in Jalen Hurts. So I like that play. And
Olave's quarterback proof, though. That he's shown to be quarterback proof.
He is excellent, and in Dynasty, good for you if you drafted him in Dynasty. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I just like Devontae Smith is getting heavily targeted in this Eagles offense, and this week, I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to be playing from behind. I actually picked the Cowboys to cover and win. It was one of my 4 upsets of the week. So I think that they're going to have to pass the ball, and I like Devontae Smith. But I can't argue with Olave if he's healthy. Curtis Samuel and Pickens. I like Pickens in general. Against this Bucs defense, though, not so much.
Yeah, I can't argue with your logic going Devontae either. So it's definitely between those two.
Yeah, we should just have an audio, just cut the clip of just Rich saying, I can't argue with your logic. And I can't argue with your logic. Okay, I'm right all the time.
Just play that.
DS, start Kenneth Walker or David Montgomery, half PPR.
I am going Kenneth Walker without even thinking about it.
This is another floor versus ceiling debate, and Walker's tantalizing. I think they'll use him in the pass game a lot in Seattle. I just think they've been itching for a chance to use him, and it came in an unfortunate way with Rashad Penny breaking his leg. But I just think we saw the production in college. He was such a highly thought of prospect. He already showed us what he can do with the 69-yard touchdown run last week. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning Walker. And I still think that if the Bears are smart, they'll get Khalil Herbert involved more, which will limit Montgomery, which with Rashad Penny out, there's no one really to take carries away from Walker in Seattle. All right, we have a defensive special teams question. I love it. We don't get enough of these. Jay Cyprian asks, Washington, DST, or Ravens? So I'm actually going to bring up the schedule here. I have that nice and handy. So we got the Washington. We know they're playing the Bears tonight, and the Ravens are playing the New York Giants in New York.
I am going with the Washington defense. A higher probability for the Bears offense to fall on their faces than there is for the Giants. I'm not a Danny Dimes believer, but they are well coached, and Brian Daboll has been doing what he's supposed to do with what he has. I'm definitely going Washington there.
When I look into defensive special teams and I don't have a clear matchup advantage, I'm going to look at the ability to produce sacks. It's very hard to predict defensive production. The one thing you can do is look at the pass rush, because sack leads to points just in and of themselves, but it also leads to an increased turnover, right? If you get pressure on the quarterback, he's more likely to throw an interception. If you sack the quarterback, he's more likely to fumble. And between these two, Washington actually, believe it or not, leads the NFL in QB pressures. They might not have resulted in as many sacks as, say, the Cowboys or the Eagles or the 49ers, but as far as just when you rush for, just the defensive line itself, Washington is number 1 in the NFL in QB pressures, going up against one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the NFL in the Bears, and you have a recipe for sacks, which could create turnovers. Justin Fields known to make bad decisions, whereas the Ravens.
Oh, we lost Brian. Okay, so I'm here by myself for a little bit, but you see all the information this guy gives you. It's phenomenal. All right, let me grab a question here until Brian comes back. We said Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle. I see Brian. There
I just got the boot. Our first ever 1-hour show, and this is what happens. I get the boot.
Look, I'm in the primetime seat now.
Yeah, no. Switch us, Anthony. I don't know how to be on the right side. There you go. Okay. I don't know how much of that you guys heard. I was talking about Washington. What was Rich? Where did I get cut off?
You got your point in. You got
okay, fair enough. Play Washington. You got it. They're more likely to produce points. Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle. Perfect. Go ahead.
I'm going Devontae Smith. Jalen Waddle hasn't been producing. He's got that bad quarterback situation right now. Iffy quarterback situation right now. Devontae Smith all the way.
Yeah, same thing. I like Jalen Waddle when he has Tua in. We just Skylar Thompson last week, indecisive. I think at the same time, Raheem Mostert had 100 yards and a touchdown, so he had his best game as a Dolphin. McDaniel, coming from that Shanahan tree, wants to run the ball first, especially with a rookie third-string quarterback in. So I just think it limits Waddle and Tyreek Hill's ceiling. Devontae Smith, I've already mentioned multiple times. I like that they're going to have to use him a lot to beat this Dallas Cowboys team on Sunday night. All right, Jay Cyprian again, half point per carry. I'm starting to see these creep up. Half point per carry, full point PPR, need 3. So we're picking 3 out of it, looks like 5. We've got Jonathan Taylor, Melvin Gordon, Kareem Hunt, Tony Pollard, and Brian Robinson.
Pick
Picking
3
here.
Okay, so I'm eliminating Gordon. Okay. So I think New England is they're going to try to do everything in their power to stop Nick Chubb. And we've seen Bill Belichick do this, where he will take your strength and just eliminate it. So I think that can create opportunities for Kareem Hunt in the passing game if they put them both back there. So I do like Kareem Hunt.
But points per carry. So Hunt is, by that same logic, going to be used in the passing game, but doesn't take advantage of the fact that you get a quarter point per carry. That's right. The interesting thing. I have never played in a quarter point per carry league, but I'm starting to see these creep up. I love the idea.
So, but it's a quarter point, right? So he's splitting. So Pollard is splitting. So it's B-Rob and Taylor for me, and then it's between Pollard and Hunt.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I just think Hunt has the higher probability to get more receptions in that scenario. If they can't do anything with Chubb, I think they can lean on Hunt in the passing game and some of the short passes where Jacoby's getting blitzed. So
I know you've said, and I can't disagree with the whole Nathaniel Hackett, but I kind of feel like leaning Gordon. I'm 100% in agreement that Taylor and B-Rob are your plays, for sure. The third person here, I like this matchup for Melvin Gordon. I think the Broncos, especially now that, Russ is dealing with the shoulder injury, just had an injection. They're going to want to run the ball. They want to run the ball anyway. Melvin Gordon is the lead back, even if he is splitting carries. I just think against this Chargers defense, if the Broncos can keep the ball on the ground, he's going to have a little bit more opportunity. He's going to get a little bit more carries, and he's still involved in the passing game. I'm 100% in agreement with you about Belichick and the Patriots shutting down this Browns running game. I think that includes Kareem Hunt. I have the Patriots both winning and covering. And Tony Pollard is just so hit or miss. The Cowboys should use him more, but they don't. He's more talented than Zeke at this stage in their careers, but they don't. So I'm going to say Melvin Gordon as the third one.
Okay, so if it was between Hunt and Pollard, who would you pick?
Hunt, yeah.
Hunt,
because Pollard is so hard to predict. Even though he's so good, they just don't use him enough.
All right, so yeah. So Pollard's definitely out, so pick between Gordon and Hunt.
There you go. Thanks. We're breaking it down. We're making it easy for you here. All right, Jay Dragon 91 again. Should I start Travis Etienne, DJ Moore, or Deontay Johnson at flex?
I might lean Etienne here.
Yeah.
They're giving him more carries, and J-Rob looks like he's lost a little of the burst that we saw early on in the season. So I think I'm going to go Etienne.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. They're playing the Colts, who is, they played great against a bad Broncos offense last week. But last time this Jacksonville team played, they beat the Colts 20-0. So I think, and Etienne was very good last week in limited usage. And Doug Peterson was asked at the press conference afterwards, hey, do you think you should get Etienne involved anymore? He said, yes, we need to get him involved. So whenever you hear that, it's on a coach's mind. It's top of mind to get a player involved who showed promise. We saw his potential. We haven't seen it fully realized. We've talked about DJ Moore. We've talked about Deontay Johnson. You have a higher ceiling. I'm more enticed by playing Etienne, so I'm going to agree with you there.
And he's a phenomenal pass catcher. So if they start getting that working, this guy can be a monster.
Right. And the Jaguars need weapons. They need to find things to spark their offense. They put up a measly 6 points against the Texans last week. So I like this as a bounce back. Joel Hewitt, pick 3 in full PPR. Marquise Hollywood Brown, Alan Lazard, Rondale Moore, your Jet Garrett Wilson. So 3 of these 4.
3 of these 4. Wow. I would go Marquise Brown over Rondale Moore. So then I would take Moore out of this equation because I'm not starting 2 guys in the same offense.
Yeah, I guess that makes it easy. Correct. Garrett Wilson. Yeah, Rondale Moore is the one I would leave off here. He's enticing with the speed and all that, but Marquise Brown is the one who's getting all the targets in Arizona. Rondale Moore is a little bit more of a change of pace. Does some end arounds, has some stuff like that, but he's kind of like Curtis Samuel in that regard. Like, I would rather rely on the guy I know is going to get 9 to 11 targets in Marquise Brown than a guy like Rondale Moore. We know Alan Lazard is the preferred pass catching choice, even if his ceiling isn't as high as like a Romeo Doubs. And Garrett Wilson has shown that he has a much better ceiling, at least to this point, than Rondale Moore. So I'm going to agree with you there. All right, I love it. More questions. Trying to get to all of them. We got just under 15 minutes left. Joshua Peacock with another one. Pick 3. Ramondre Stevenson, Eno Benjamin, Nick Chubb, or Breece Hall. 3 of these 4.
Didn't we do this one already? We picked Stevenson, Chubb, and Hall.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Could be. I'm trying to get to all these questions. Maybe Anthony's putting questions in the chat. I'm going to blame my producer, Anthony. It's definitely not something I would do on our first long episode. All right, let's go ahead. We did this one. Kenny Mauter, Eno Benjamin, or Jeff Wilson? This
one's easy for me. I'm going Jeff Wilson.
Yes. The guy's had 100-yard rushing games twice in back-to-back weeks. Playing a Falcons defense that has been better than we thought they would be, but Shanahan wants to run the ball. Eno Benjamin has a nice matchup against the Seahawks, but we haven't seen him produce with the steadiness that we've seen Jeff Wilson the past few weeks. The Shanahan offense is better suited for running backs. Plug and play your semi-decent running back, and they're going to produce. So I'm in agreement there. All right, Dawson Damer. Real question, should I start JT over Dobbins, or is he going to disappoint me over again?
Well, Dobbins hasn't exactly been lighting things up. I am not sitting Jonathan Taylor. If he's starting a game, I'm putting Jonathan Taylor in. I drafted him first overall for a reason, and I believe in the talent. I don't believe in the situation, but I do believe in the talent. So I'm starting. He's going to explode at some point. I can't imagine Jonathan Taylor's going to have this whole season of games where he's putting up 4, 5, 6 points. It's not going to happen. I'm starting Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I know he is underwhelmed, but he's still Jonathan Taylor. He's absolutely got a higher floor and a higher ceiling. I think they eventually figure it out. A lot of it has been on the offensive line, and of course he's been banged up. But I trust Frank Reich to get this together. I don't think the Colts offense will be this bad all year.
Yeah,
and he's too talented. He's just too talented to keep up. He's going to bust one. Even with bad blocking, he's going to bust one, and you're going to be upset. So don't get cute. Start JT. Hopefully he doesn't disappoint you again. All right, let's go to Micah Martinez says, Devontae, Singletary, Hilaire. I don't know if we're supposed to pick 1, 2, 3. Let's pick one, I guess.
Let's pick one.
Let's pick one.
I'm going to pick Devonta Smith. It would be between Smith and Hilaire for me. I am not a believer in Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yep. You've established that on this show.
Jerick McKinnon actually got more carries and looked better on his carries than he did. I think it was like 1 or 2 more carries. It wasn't significantly more. But we saw Hilaire get stopped at the goal line again on a little out route or whatever it was. This guy has no push. He has no burst. I just think he's gotten lucky with being in the right spot at the right time and in a high-octane offense. I'm going with Devonta Smith.
I disagree with your Hilaire take in general, but I would go with Devonta Smith in this scenario. I think he's shown that in that offense, he can be productive. He actually had a touchdown that was called back, so he would have produced, and he has produced double-digit points every week until this past week. And once again, if that touchdown hadn't been called back, he would have had that as well. But yes, the Chiefs are more prone to go with the hot hand. Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco. Singletary, we've already mentioned. I think this is a passing attack game, and and in general, his ceiling is not that high. Devonta Smith, I think, has the better floor and the better ceiling than these other 2 guys. All right, Golden CB30, Jamar Jefferson, AJ Brown. Jamar Jefferson is not a person. Jamar Chase. How do you have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and AJ Brown?
Is a great problem to have.
Is this a DFS question? I'm going to assume it's DFS because otherwise just give you the trophy now. All right, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. I could choose 2. I guess this is an interesting question to try to choose 2 of these guys.
You're choosing Justin Jefferson and then you're closing your eyes and picking whoever your finger lands on. I would probably go Jamar Chase than Justin Jefferson, but I'm not going to argue with you if you tell me you'd rather go AJ Brown.
Yeah, it's funny because are we talking dynasty? Jamar Chase. It's 4-team league. Okay, 4-team league.
Wow.
Wow. That explains it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning AJ Brown. I've already mentioned I like the Eagles pass catchers. The Bengals have teams are doing this whole too high shell, limit the big play, what they did to KC last year, and it seems to be working. This Bengals offense has just not been productive enough. They're putting up points. They won 2 in a row. They ended up losing last week to Baltimore, but Chase's teams are zeroing in on Chase, especially Higgins looks like he might not play, so they can put even more coverage toward him. If there's a Bengal to play in DFS, maybe Tyler Boyd. So yeah, I think I'm leaning Jefferson and AJ Brown. It's so close though. It's penciled in. You'd be a coin flip and I'd be okay either way.
Can I grab a question? Well, actually, just a comment here.
Yeah,
Dawson,
you don't have to ask permission. You grab whatever you want while you're on the show, Rich. You've earned it at this point.
Dawson couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so much for this comment, Dawson. CAH is not very good. He's just got inflated hype right now because of his fantasy totals. And his fantasy totals, I think, are just this weird mixture of like a strange manufactured offense thing that's going on with him. You see all this hand stuff I'm doing? That's basically what CAH...
That's how you know it's legitimate. When Rich is doing the hand...
doing that.
For those that are listening on audio, they're like, what is going on with these guys? That's why you got to watch the YouTube. Go to the YouTube.
Yeah, Dawson, that is, I couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so much.
All right, so this is an interesting one. This is just like a roster evaluation. Janoon Giradar again asks my team. We got Carson Wentz, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman, Irv Smith Jr., Devontae Smith at the Bills D. Josh Jacobs, AJ Dillon, Chris Olave, Curtis Samuel. That's a pretty deep bench. George Pickens, Jacoby Myers, and Dak Prescott. Should I make any moves or stay with what I got? Can you let us know what your record is?
Right.
Like, are you in first place? Then leave it alone. So, but
if you can make a move, I mean, you have plenty of depth at receiver. If you can make a move for a tight end, because you have Irv Smith as your starter, it looks like I would try to unload a couple of those receivers and grab yourself a tight end if you can, maybe like a Pickens and Myers. See if you can, get a Mark. What's the guy from Baltimore?
Andrews?
What's his name? Mark Andrews.
Yeah, probably not going to get a trade for him.
Yeah, but somebody. I mean, maybe George Kittle you can get.
So I'm trying to evaluate. Definitely tight end looks like the tight end and quarterback. Looks like the biggest weaknesses. So maybe if you can get an upgrade, we don't know. Dak has already looked like he's not going to play this week. Cooper Rush is set to start again. The one time we saw Dak this year was in week 1, and it didn't look good. Not to say Dak isn't a great quarterback. I think he is, but I would want a little more insurance at the quarterback position. So whether it's waiver wire or if you can make a deal, maybe package a quarterback with the tight end. Irv Smith, I agree that's a spot for upgrade. Pittman, I already mentioned earlier. I don't like his outlook for the rest of the season in that Colts offense, especially with Alec Pierce emerging. But I like Josh Jacobs. Alvin Kamara, it's nice to have, especially if you pair him with a guy like Josh Jacobs. Crazy to say, but Jacobs, I think, is a more valuable running back at this point. Pollard is hard to predict. Forgot to mention I have Kyle Pitts, and I'm 2-3 in a 10-man league.
Okay.
There you go. This is why we like the context here. How does that change anything with what you're saying, Rich?
Then maybe upgrade quarterback more so than tight end.
Yeah, I think Irv Smith maybe can get you by on week. I mean, right now you're playing Pitts over Smith. He's not. There's a few tight ends I would play. Tyler Higbee being one of those. Obviously, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce. There's a few tight ends I would just plug in ahead of Kyle Pitts. Irv Smith is not one of those. Chase the ceiling there.
I think there's going to be a point this season where you're not going to consider benching Pitts. I think it's going to happen at some point.
I think you've been hurt by the fact that Dak is injured and Carson Wentz is just way too up and down, and he'll have good weeks and then he'll have weeks like he did last week against Tennessee. But yeah, so quarterback I would target as your biggest need. Geno Smith or Russell Wilson? I love this question.
I would probably go Geno Smith.
Yes.
It sounds crazy to say that. Yeah, I would go Geno Smith. I I am just waiting and seeing what happens. I have faith that the Denver offense can get it together. I don't have faith in the coach. I do have faith in Russell Wilson. They're saying that he has a shoulder thing, right? So maybe that could be an issue.
He had a shoulder injury where he got an injection, I guess, for the pain, and he's set to start. He says he's good to go. Even if he's healthy, though, I mean, I don't think he's been injured all season, and he hasn't looked good since week 1 against Geno Smith. I'm 100% in agreement. I'm done trying to predict Geno's demise. I think maybe he regresses a little bit, but I still think that Seahawks offense, they're letting him throw the ball. He's got 2 great playmakers in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. He's showing that he has chemistry, and he's making plays, and he just is actually, he's more decisive. He is he's working with that Seahawks offense better than Wilson is working with the Broncos offense. So I'm with you. Geno Smith over Russell Wilson in fantasy. Who would have
His
thought?
confidence is at an all-time high too.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So much ahead game in general, but especially at the quarterback position. Russell Wilson is making very, very cringy Subway commercials where Geno Smith is out there being like QB6 in fantasy through 5 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, Jay Dragon again. Keenan Allen has been sitting on my IR for weeks. I got a trade offer of DeAndre Hopkins. Should I take it?
I'm sticking with Keenan Allen. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big believer in DeAndre Hopkins.
What?
I'm just not. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a big believer in DeAndre Hopkins anymore. I like Keenan Allen. I think he works well with Justin Herbert when he plays. So yeah, and this is one of those questions where, I mean, you can't really go wrong with either of these guys, but I just prefer Keenan Allen.
I'm going to disagree with you. Keenan Allen is nice when he is healthy. Even if he comes back, we don't know if it's a hamstring injury. He's had hamstring injuries in the past, but even without that, I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a league winner. Because I think if the Cardinals were in a good position and with a winning record, this would be a little different. But because they've had problems moving the ball, Marquise Brown is coming along nicely. But I could see a situation where Kyler just... He's been known to target DeAndre Hopkins 15 times a game. So just from a volume standpoint alone, you put the talent on there, he's a red zone target more than Marquise Brown is. So I think there's a big ceiling there with touchdowns. I just think he's going to be peppering Hopkins with targets. He's going to come back fully healthy because he's had the first 6 games to sit. So I would absolutely take that. Allen hasn't produced for you anyway. It's not like you're missing his production. So the fact that he's been injured, I would accept that. I would hit the smash button. That's my opinion. All right, we got about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. I at least want to have a little bit of time. I don't want to go into overtime today, so maybe at the 45 minutes mark, we'll talk about the Thursday Night Football game. Next question. Tommy Monroe, you think Brian Robinson is a start tonight? I have him and Etienne, who I could start at flex, assuming Olave doesn't play.
I would go Etienne. I don't know what to expect from Brian Robinson, and again, I'm not a big fan of this offense.
Yeah, I have to agree. We haven't seen enough from Robinson. We don't know what we're getting. We mentioned earlier that we're high on Etienne. Hopefully you have someone else if Olave doesn't play, so if you sit Robinson. But that's the problem with these Thursday night games. Unless it's a slam dunk, if you've got other options, I would put Etienne in the running back position, not in the flex, and sit Robinson, and then hopefully you've got somebody else lined up if Olave doesn't play. Burp and Derp, I love the name. Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, or Matt Stafford?
Kirk Cousins, easy for me. Connection with Justin Jefferson is sweet. I mean, what did he hit him like 13 straight times last week? Staying away from Daniel Jones. Matthew Stafford has something going on with him. I'm not touching him. So, yeah, I'm going Kirk Cousins.
It's not as easy as that for me. Daniel Jones
Really?
I would eliminate because I think that I just think from a fantasy perspective that offense isn't producing enough. It's mainly Saquon and the defense making plays. But I just love the matchup. The Rams going against the Panthers, who are just in so much turmoil right now with their injuries. Jeremy Chin, their young, talented safety is out. I just think I can see the Rams, I can see Cooper Kupp getting targeted the way you're mentioning Justin Jefferson. So just to be contrarian, I'm going to go with Stafford here. Let's go through these lightning round, and then we'll preview the game. Montgomery or Waddle this week? Full PPR.
Montgomery.
Yeah, I'm also going Montgomery because of the floor and what we mentioned earlier with Skylar Thompson. X-Force 2005, Christian Kirk, Jacoby Myers, or Zeke at flex?
Myers.
I think Christian Kirk, actually. Doug Peterson said they need to get Kirk 10 targets a game, so I'm going to take that as a sign that they will. A Lotus 11, Curtis Samuel or Juju?
Samuel.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel, that Chiefs offense could go anywhere. And then finally, Jalen Clemens, start 2. Pierce, B-Rob, Dubs.
I'm high on Pierce, definitely.
So that's
him,
A. Pierce, Alex Pierce. Yeah.
I'm high on Pierce. I would go B-Rob because the Jets have the best quarterback tandem in the league.
Yeah, and I think the Packers are going to run heavy this week, so I'm going to agree with that. Pierce and Brian Robinson. All right, 10 seconds. Who do you got? Bears or Commanders, and why?
Commanders, because I just think their offense is slightly better than the Bears. And as you mentioned before with the Commanders defense, I think it's going to be tough for the Bears to move the ball, get in the end zone.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I have both of these teams. It's not an exciting matchup, but I am going to go the Bears at home. I like what I saw coming back and taking the lead against the Vikings last week. They ended up losing, but I just think maybe they've turned a corner slightly. I think Eberflus has done a good job coaching with what he has. I think they go run heavy, and I'm gonna lean on Justin Fields and hope it doesn't disappoint me. It's not a great choice.
No, it's not.
Rich, we did it. We made it to the end of our first doubleheader show. We had enough questions. I'm ready to do this again next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you in agreement here? Great.
Absolutely.
So, next Thursday, guys. Go ahead.
Sorry, guys. I just wanted to thank everybody for popping on. I just want to let you know, we're going to be doing this. Hopefully we can do it every Thursday. If you guys are here ready to ask questions, I mean, we're going to, as long as there are questions to be asked, we're going to be answering them.
Yeah, you guys showed us that we can do it in an hour, and we still probably didn't get to all the questions. Thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe to both of our YouTube channels, 30 Minutes of Football and Pro Football Demon, because we broadcast on both simultaneously. It doesn't matter which one you send the chat in, it will come to us. But that way you can at least support both of us as content creators in the NFL realm. We'll do this tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you guys are into betting, I have on my betting cousins. Matt Crawford will throw a pick six. One more comment from Takaido Luna. Why not? Great way to end the show. But yeah, guys, if you're into betting against the spread, I have my game pick show tomorrow on the 30 Minutes of Football channel. We also put it on Pro Football Demon because we share his picks as well. So we'll pick all the games against the spread. I have Tanner Kern from Cold Hard Football Facts on there as a sports betting expert. And then we're doing this 5 days a week. So go ahead and subscribe, hit the notifications button so you know when we go live. Thank you to Pro Football Demon. Congrats to your Jets. Enjoy it while it lasts. Hopefully my Dolphins can bounce back. Thank you for listening or watching. Enjoy the game tonight. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. We'll see you tomorrow. That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this: Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.